I am recording. Great. So we're on the MyFitnessPal website. What you'll first want to do is sign up if you haven't already. Now you can sign up with Facebook, and basically what that does is it pulls all your personal information, such as your email address and your username and password in from Facebook. So that's an easy way to sign up if you don't want to remember another username and password. Or you can sign up with an email address. If you already have an account, you just go here to log in. I've already created an account for us, so we'll log in. All right. So this first screen that we see is going to be your home screen. It's called My Home. That's what you'll click to come back onto the screen. This is going to show your daily summary. That's right here. This is kind of like your dashboard view if you want to consider it that. Down here would be your news feed. Now, this is what would be displayed if you had friends that you were following. You would see what's going on with them, like Jessica logged 5 days in a row and lost 10 pounds, or you would see things like that in your news feed. So since this is a test account, I don't have anything like that set up, but that's sort of the kind of information that you would see there. Let's go first to settings. So we're going to start from the very beginning. When you first create your account, you'll want to set everything up before you start logging. So here's in the account settings section how you would change your password if you want, change your email address and your email preferences. So you can go in there and unsubscribe from any MyFitnessPal emails if you don't want to receive them. Change your username, change your time zone, update your diet and fitness profile, your diary settings, profile privacy, and so on. These things are not too important down here. Let's start by looking at your profile. Okay, so this comes from all the information that I entered in when I set up my account. Pulls in my age, pulls in that I'm a female. If you need to edit that, click Edit Profile. Here's where you can enter in your location if you want to, and you can put some information about you if you want this to show up on your profile. I chose to leave mine fairly blank because it's really just for me. All right, let's go to update diet and fitness profile. Now, this is going to be very important for you guys. So this is where you're going to want to enter in the information that you've provided with your coach and that your coach has provided back to you. So you'll enter in your current weight. This is my weight. You'll enter in a goal weight. Let's assume you're on a weight loss program for the sake of argument here. My goal weight's 150 pounds, your height, your gender, your date of birth. Then you're going to select your normal daily activity. I selected active, and then how many workouts a week you plan on doing. This becomes less important for us because the pump and shred coach is already giving you your set goal for the day in terms of calories and macros. But this is sort of how MyFitnessPal figures that out. So that's really why you're entering all this. However, even though we're going to change our goals in a minute, I want you to go ahead and enter in your current weight, your goal weight, things like that, because it's going to allow you to track your progress. So let's go ahead and enter this stuff in. Obviously, you guys want expended energy tracked in calories. And then what is your goal? So it just gives you some goals here. Let's just say it's 1 pound a week. That's a pretty healthy goal. Update your profile. There you go. Great. Now this is what it's telling you your nutrition goals should be based on their formulas. So this is what MyFitnessPal recommends for you. You would see this is not at all what Pump and Shred would probably recommend for you. It's going to be super high in carbs, low in protein, and moderate in fat. Our plans are typically the opposite of that. And then this also takes into how many calories you burn a week based on what you just inputted into that section. So don't worry too much about this. This is kind of spitting out to you their suggestion. You're going to input what your coach has recommended for you. So let's just say get started now. We're going to come back to this. All right, so back in that settings document, let's go to, back to goals. Okay, so here's where those goals are, all right? We're going to change those goals because this isn't what our coach recommended for us. So go to change goals. Now there's 2 options here, guided, and this basically just asks you the same questions we were just asked. So it talks about your your activity level, your weight, and how many times a week you exercise. It's going to spit back out to you what they recommend for a diet plan. We're going to go to custom because your coach has already provided with you that information. So we'll continue. Here's where you can customize things. Now, let's say my coach recommended to me that I'm on an 800 calorie a day diet at 30% carbohydrates, 40% protein, 30% fat. You can see that when I entered in 30% here for carbohydrates, these automatically updated. This always is going to make sure this adds up to 100. So that's sort of how this works. So if I were to change my protein to 50%, it would automatically change my fat to 20% because that's all that's left over. This is accurate though. This is actually what my pump and shred coach would have wanted for me to do. And you can see it'll bust out grams here for you. 240 grams of, oh, that's actually not right. You have to click update. So we'll go ahead with the percentages here. These will change in just a minute. Now let's scroll down to fiber and sugar. So most of the clients on Pump and Shred, we're going to recommend that they try to get at least 30 grams of fiber a day. So I'm going to go ahead and update that with 30. And then try to keep your sugars low. So since we're not at 50% carbohydrates, we're not going to get this much sugar in our daily diet. So I'm going to put a goal of 50 grams in there. That's the only thing I'm really going to update. If you wanted to add in, I want to try to get 200% of my daily recommendation of vitamin C, you could change that in there. These are your personal settings. If you want to go in here and update your fitness goals, that's fine to do so there. I don't track my workouts in MyFitnessPal, but you may want to, so you can use this. Some people won't use this at all. Let's go to change goals. So that's got everything I want in there updated. Now you see the grams have been corrected. So 180 grams of protein actually is 40% of my daily calories at 1800. 135 grams of carbohydrates actually is 30% of my daily total. And same with the fat. So these look good. Now, this is what's going to be displayed in my app and on the website in my reports. So now we have everything inputted. All right. Let's go to one more thing in settings and then we'll start food logging. So we're going to go to diary settings. So when you get your meal plans, typically your coach isn't giving them to you in 3 meals and 2 snacks. We're not saying here's breakfast, here's lunch, here's dinner, here's snacks. We're typically going to give you meal 1 through 5 or meal 1 through 6, depending on how many meals you have to eat. So you should go in and update your diary so that when you're inputting your food, it's going to match your plan exactly so that you can start to see some consistency there. So we'll click on diary settings. Now, it's going to ask you what nutrients you would like tracked. Obviously, we want our macros, carbohydrates, fat, and protein tracked. I also care about tracking my fiber and my sugar. Perhaps someone else is more interested in tracking their sodium. You can select that here. You can select any of the macro or micronutrients to track here. So we'll keep those how they are. Now you're asked if you'd like to change your add food default view. And we're going to go to that view in just a minute to see what that looks like. Right now I have recent foods as my default view. I'll explain what that means in just a minute. I'm going to leave it for now. Down here is what I was talking about with meal names. So rather than breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack 1, snack 2, snack 3, I've inputted meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, meal 5, and then extras. So extras are going to be anytime I have like a bite of my boyfriend's French fries or a piece of a brownie. Maybe it's not an entire meal, but I need to add it in there to count towards my macros. So that's going to be my extras. That's sort of the catch-all. Diary sharing. This is important too. Maybe you want to keep your diary private, so where only you can view it. That's totally fine. MyFitnessPal is your tool to use. You don't have to let anyone else see it. Maybe you'd like for it to be public, so maybe that's where anyone can view it to see how you're doing. Maybe you want only your friends to be able to view it, and that would be people that you've accepted as your friend on MyFitnessPal. So your coach could be a friend or anyone could be a friend, but you have to give them permission to view your diary. Or you can make it locked with a key where there's actually a password that you have to enter to get in. I'm going to say friends only. Save changes. All right. Now that's our diary settings. We've looked at the privacy. We've looked at how to customize everything. Let's start inputting some food here. So we're going to go back to My Home. This is your dashboard, remember? Up here, you have two options: add exercise, add food. Let's go to add food. Okay, here's your food diary screen. Now you can see as I scroll down that there's places for you to enter meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, meal 5, and extras, just like we recently specified in that setting. All of that pops up here. Now I've gone ahead and entered in a couple meals so that we have some data in here, but let me show you how I would add some food. So let's say for meal 4, I had baked salmon, and you want to be as descriptive as possible when you're searching the database, because you want to try to limit the results. Here's what what has come back as a matching food. If it has a little star next to it, that means another user has entered in this entry. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but that's just how they delineate that. All right, so 4 ounces is what I ate, which is 1 serving of 4 ounces. I'm adding it to meal 4. Now look at this. This is member submitted, like I said, but it has 7 confirmations. That means 7 other users have confirmed that the nutritional info is right. You can click on the nutritional info and it shows up behind the ad. Okay, so here you go. Give it a look. That looks about right to me. I'm going to go ahead and confirm it. Close out. And then add food to diary. Now, you don't have to click on this and confirm it. You can just add it. Okay, 4 ounces of baked salmon. Here it comes. Now you can see all the nutritional information is displayed just like we asked it to display when we created that setting. We're going to keep adding. So we had salmon and broccoli. I'm going to search for my broccoli here. We had 1 cup chopped. Okay, there it is. Great. And we also had some asparagus with that. We had 1 cup of grilled asparagus. It's important to note that if I would have cooked with oil, I didn't, but if I would have cooked with oil, I'd need to add that in because none of this takes into account anything else that you're cooking with it. So let's go ahead and add in the spray coconut oil that I did use to coat the pan. I used Spectrum, and this looks like a 1/3 of a second spray. This is an interesting way of measuring it. Yeah, 0 confirmations. That seems a little squirrely. Let's look at the next one. Trader Joe's. None of these have been confirmed, but they're all about the same in terms of how they're measured. So let's just add it. On the nutritional label, it says 0 calories, 0 grams of fat. So I'm going to trust that it doesn't really matter. I just want to put it in there to show you that I did account for it. If I would have used actual olive oil or coconut oil, you would have added that in. All right, so there's your meals. Now, quick tools. You can keep adding food if you ate something in addition to that at your meal, or go to this quick tool setting here. This is really cool. You can remember this meal. So if this is a meal you're going to have for the rest of the week, you may want to remember it. So let's go remember this meal. Let's call it week 2 dinner, because this is my week 2 plan. I'm going to eat this every night this week. Save meal. Okay, now when you click add meals tomorrow, you can select it. I'll show you how to select it. And it'll automatically input all of this information into your meal 4, or whichever meal you decide category. Now let's go copy to date. Or let's say I would have entered in something yesterday. You could copy yesterday and it would bring the meal over. Your meal 4 from yesterday over to your meal 4 from today. Or let's go copy to date. Let's say we're going to have the same thing tomorrow. It's going to pull it up and copy it tomorrow. Let's check to make sure it's there. Here's tomorrow. Yep, there it is. So that's a quick way for you guys to go ahead and manage your entire week once you input it once. You don't have to go back in every day and redo it. Okay, quick and easy. Let's go back to today's entry. All right, so we have our meals entered in. Had some grapes, so we added those in as extras. Now, down here at the bottom, you can see your totals. This is the first line right here. This is what you've eaten so far. Okay, and this is your goal. This is what you have remaining. Now, let's say I've gone over for the day. So I'm going to add some food here. Let's just say I went crazy and had some ice cream. This is really fun how you can see if it's going to fit my macros. Let's see if I can fit Bluebell vanilla ice cream into my macros. I didn't stop at half a cup though. I went ahead and had a cup and a half. Because I love ice cream. Okay, so here we go. There's my ice cream, and that's what I had for dinner. So as you can see, I have 5 carbs remaining for the day. So if I was going to eat again, I'd have 5 carbs remaining, 4 grams of fat, a whole bunch of protein, 10 grams of fiber, and look, I'm over on sugar by almost 50 grams. So I've almost doubled my sugar intake for the day just with that one serving of ice cream. So if I wanted to eat to hit my macros, I've already gone over on sugar. That's okay. You still want to try to get in some more protein, right? Because you want to stay within 5 grams of any macro. So what's got a whole bunch of protein? Well, chicken breast, any type of really lean protein, so like a whitefish, or you could use a protein powder. But the thing to note is that a protein powder is going to have carbs, so that might take you over for the day. This just shows you really how to manage it when you're not using a meal plan, or if you go off your plan but you still want to try to hit your goals. Pay attention to your remaining numbers here and try to plan it out as best as you can. Obviously, you probably don't want to go crazy with ice cream. You might want to limit it to like a half cup scoop. But if you do, you can always stay on track by just keeping mind of what's left here for the day. All right, so keep scrolling down. We're not ready to complete this entry just yet. Let's look at our water consumption here. I'm going to go ahead and add in all the cups of water I've had today. I've had a bunch. This is cups, so like an 8-ounce cup. Let's say I've had 16 8-ounce cups of water. That's a lot. Today's food notes. You can also make notes. I made a note here. I was hungrier than normal after my morning cardio, so I moved more carbs to meal 2. I also pigged out on some ice cream, so I could add that in there. Just make notes for yourself. This is a great way to keep track of how you feel on your meal plan, and so that you can communicate with your coach later. Just make a note right there. This is the perfect place for it. This is your food diary. That's where your note should go. All right, let's say we're ready to complete this entry. Complete this entry. All right, so I went to bed without eating anything else. I didn't hit all my protein, not good. I was down about 325 calories over the day. This tells me that I'd get towards my goal in 5 weeks if I were to eat calorie-wise like today. The machine, the website doesn't judge what you've eaten. It doesn't say that, oh, you had too much sugar. It's not going to tell you that. That's for you to mind. But it's just nice that it kind of reminds you as you go, like, okay, I'm still on track. So that's your daily entry. Let's go to some shortcuts here. All right, so food database. This is where you can look for nutrition facts on food. So if you're just curious, like before you even know what you want to eat, you're like, man, I wonder what the nutrition information is for a banana. Search it. A raw banana. Okay, it's going to show you different serving options here. So you can do a mashed cup. Maybe you're going to make some banana pudding, a cup of sliced bananas. Maybe you're going to freeze some. Maybe you just want to eat a whole medium banana. Let's look at that. It's going to pull in all the nutrition data for that. So 105 calories. You've got 14 grams of sugar, 27 grams of carbs. All right, cool. you can kind of use this as a gauge to decide how much of this you can have before you even go to enter it into your meal plans. This is a fun tool here. This is the database. Let's look at My Foods. So these are going to be your personal foods. These are foods that you can't find in the database. These are maybe something that you make special, some blend of something, some odd food. Maybe it's a, I don't know exactly how you would use this because I don't use it that frequently, but it could be something new. Like maybe it's a new product out there and you have to enter it in for the first time. So here's where you can go to do that. You can search for it, or you can enter it in right here by creating food. Click create food. Here's where you go. So maybe you go to a new restaurant. You're like, I want to enter in the nutrition information for whatever. Enter it in there, make a description, click continue, and it'll walk you through the steps to add the food. Let's go to My Meals. So again, My Foods, probably not something you're going to use very frequently. My Meals. Okay, so we saved some meals here. These are meals that I like to eat a lot. So I saved them, like Asian chicken herb salad. This was my meal 3 today. So there's tons of ingredients. There's no way I want to take the time to enter this in every day. I just saved it as a meal so I can easily find it the next time I have it. Here's the details for it. If you need to go in and delete it, or maybe you want to make changes to it, fine. If you're done with it, click deleted. Or you can search for something here. Obviously, I've only entered in 4 meals, so all of them are going to be matches right now. But that's where your My Meals will go. This becomes more important when you're actually in the food diary section, because you can pull these up as a shortcut. Recipes. This is a really cool tool. I've been using this a lot more lately because I've been cooking a lot. So there's kind of 3 pieces to this. The first is the recipe importer. This is the best tool, but it doesn't work with every website. So some websites have to be formatted specifically to pull the recipe data in here. I'm going to show you how we do that. So I found this recipe for fish tacos with strawberry mango salsa. It looks delicious. I want to make this. I'm going to copy the URL and paste it right here. Click import recipe. Wow, look at that. Pulled in all of the data that is listed right here. Okay, so it pulled this in for me, so I don't have to retype it. Servings. I'm going to say it's 2. And let's match ingredients. Okay, the author of this, I guess the author of this website is also a MyFitnessPal user, so she popped up. There she is. That's her website. Here, it's going to show you that all these things checked out. They matched 8 of 9 ingredients. All they need is help with the last one. So let's see what they have. Okay, corn or whole wheat tortillas. Probably because they're very different and it gave you an option. Let's say we are using we're going to use whole wheat tortillas. Here's some options that it's giving you here. We're going to do 2 of those. Tortilla. Check. All right. Yay, item match. That's fun. Okay, so now everything has matched. Let's save. We saved the recipe. If that was the first time I was using it and I wanted to go ahead and log it, I would have clicked save and log, and it would have asked me for which meal I would like to log this for. Or you can hover over it and say log it. Select meal. One serving. Log it. Brings us back to our diary. Here we go. Look, I added some tacos to my ice cream. All right, now you see I'm way over for the day. Shouldn't have had that ice cream. Okay, anyway, back to my recipes. So that's one way to import a recipe. You can also add a recipe manually. So let's say you get the recipe from your mom. It's not on a website. You have a handwritten recipe card. Let's add it in manually. So here you would just enter in, a recipe name and start to enter in ingredients. You can also copy paste from websites, 1 ingredient per line, just click enter after every ingredient, and then say match ingredients. Same kind of process that we went through before. It's going to match as many as it can and then ask you to update some that it couldn't match. Or you can use the old recipe calculator. I think this one's a little bit easier to use. Let's say enter a new recipe here. You're just going to add ingredient. Search the database, add ingredient one at a time. Okay, so you go in here, let's say we used tilapia. Not my favorite, but it's a fish taco fish. I'll even have HEB tilapia in there. Look at that. Okay, 4 ounces add. You're just going to keep doing that. It's a little bit slower, but I like it because you can see it line by line. To me, like this visual is a lot better to look at than that other one. So either one, then you can ask, it's going to ask you here, would you like to submit this recipe to the MyFitnessPal recipe database? And this would mean that any other user could search it and use it. You would say no or yes. If you click no, you can still save it to your account and you can use it, but it wouldn't be confirmed by MyFitnessPal. So if you say yes, it's actually going to ask you to submit all of the cooking information. So let's just say yes. Here's what you have to enter in. You're going to have to select all of these. Add some tags. You have a brief introduction or description. Enter in all the ingredients again and directions. You can upload a photo and then save the recipe. Pretty easy to do. You can hear my assistant in the background barking. But if you don't need it to be searchable by everyone in MyFitnessPal, there's no need to do this. You would just go say no here and then save your recipe. Easy. Oh, it's telling me my recipe has to contain at least 2 ingredients. All right, so let's add. These are the most boring tacos in the world. And again, oops, I typed that in wrong. Add ingredient, here we go. Search the database. Ortega. Here we go. Saying it's making 4 servings, so we'll do 4 tortillas. Excellent. Okay, now save this recipe. Here we go. Now it's going to show on this screen your recipe box. Here's all the recipes that we have. So you can scroll through, you can access them at a later date. You can log them if you want to. Pretty cool. It's got a little nutrition facts label over here. You can add in information later about like how much time it took and how you categorize it. Pretty cool functionality there. So that's kind of it for your recipe shortcut. I showed you a little bit about the copy paste. Let's look at the report. So that's kind of the last thing on the website. Click on this link here, reports. It's going to give you some options. Choose a report. You can do weight. These are all your measurements, and I'll show you how to look at those. Let's go on weight for the last week. Now, if you would have entered in a new weight each day, it would be giving you a point on this chart, and it would actually be more meaningful. All we have is 1 point on this chart, but it is a bar chart here, a bar and a line graph. So it would show you if your weight's progressively going down or if your weight's progressively going up. Either way, it's a really handy view there. And you can track it over 30 days, 90 days, 180, and then a year. So it's pretty cool to see all that. Let's go back to my home. You can see, because I went over by eating that ice cream, it's going to show me how much I'm over. I don't have any calories remaining. It's red now. 292 over. That's okay. If we go into the settings tab again, we will see our what's this fitness profile? No, sorry. Check-in. Aha. Okay, my home, check-in. So here's where you're going to enter in your weight every day if you wanted to track it every day, or maybe once a week if you wanted to track it. You can also go in here and track all these measurements. So these are the measurements that your pump and shred coach is taking for you. You probably have these on a spreadsheet somewhere. You can actually enter them into MyFitnessPal so you can track it on the website or on your app. Now, track additional measurements. Let's say I want to track something other than just these. You can add another one in. Like maybe I want to track my neck circumference. Add a measurement. Or you can remove them. So what it typically comes with is going to be waist, hips, and shoulders, I believe. I think those are the measurements that are defaulted. So I went in and added thigh left, thigh right, bicep left, bicep right, chest, and body fat percentage, because those are what I track. So that's how you do it. Then every day, or once a week if you like, you can go in and enter in your numbers. Now here's my numbers. So my waist was 29 today. Maybe in a week I'll go in and enter it in what my new waist circumference is. Hips, same thing. All the way down to body fat, it was 18% today. Maybe in a week I'll go in and add it there. Then when you go to this reports section, you can choose one of those options. Let's say I want to look at how my body fat is tracking over the past 30 days. You would click body fat and last 30 days. That's going to show you the graph. Now, again, we only have one entry, which is why there's only one point of data here. Not very useful for us at this point. But in 30 days, if we're tracking it, we're going to see a really cool trending graph. Very neat. A really good tool for you guys to use. All right, other than that, the other links up here, you're going to have an apps link. This just lists all of the apps that MyFitnessPal syncs with. So if you use a Fitbit, if you map MyFitness, there's all kinds of like little things that will actually import data right into MyFitnessPal. So if you do use those, like electronic pedometers of some sort, there's probably an app that you can download to connect the two. So go check that out. Community. This is going to be where the message boards are. You can create groups. There's blogs here. You can find members. You can invite your friends to join. There's a lot to do here. This is sort of how you would communicate with other people. And then the blog. This is the MyFitnessPal blog. So there's some great articles here. You can see there's some categories. I found some really helpful tips. If you look at like down here, MyFitnessPal tips or updates, you can see if there's an update for your phone or some tips on how to use MyFitnessPal. I found some really helpful things in there. There's always just some great posts. There's recipe ideas here. Just another really cool blog for you guys to check out. So that's the blog tab. If you go back to the community tab, you can read other people's blogs. Now these are other MyFitnessPal users who are blogging, which is pretty cool. If you have time to read them all, go for it. Find members. We talked about this just a minute ago. You can enter in if you're looking for certain people, types of folks. You can go by your email address. Like maybe you want to see if your coach is here. Enter in their email address. Find them in there. Other than that, that's kind of really all you can do on the website. Let's go back to your home. Again, this is your dashboard page. This is the most important one. Here's how you access your blog. Okay. Click on my blog. Sorry about that. Now, MyFitnessPal gives you a free hosted blog site. So you can actually add your own posts. It's pretty cool. So you can set the title of your blog and then go ahead and blog. Maybe you want to blog about your journey on pump and shred, or just with lean living and using MyFitnessPal or whatever. If you just want to journal it, think of this as a journal. If you have your privacy settings set to private, then only you can view this. It's really for you. But if you have your privacy settings set to public, then other people can access it. So it could be something that's really helpful. Or it could just be, something that you feel like maybe you don't need to do. Either way, that's your blog. All right, then your friends, if you've found anyone to follow, they would be listed here. And it also prompts you to invite them via email or via Facebook. So if you want to invite people to it, that's how you do it. So that's really the website. Let me pull this back up real quick. All right. Now we're going to take a look at a document that I've prepared to walk us through the mobile app. Now, obviously, I can't show you the mobile app on my computer because it's on my phone, since it's a mobile app. So I took some screenshots and I put together this user guide. If you would like a copy of this user guide, your coach has it. So email your coach and ask them to forward this to you. It's really helpful. Again, this is only for iPhone. So if you have an Android, your screens are going to look a little bit different. So you can actually find out more information on that on the MyFitnessPal website, on the customer support link. So there's probably a tutorial there, but I went ahead and made this one since a lot of my clients were asking me about how to use the app. First things first, getting started. So this is your iPhone home screen, right? Where you have all your little icons. You have to download the MyFitnessPal app first. So you go to your app store, you're going to search for MyFitnessPal. It's free. You'll download the app. Once it's installed, you'll see the icon. All right. You'll click on the icon, and this is the screen that's displayed, similar to the website. You're going to log in using the same username and password that you used when you set up the desktop version. So same username and password. You don't have to create anything. Once you log in, it's going to sync the mobile app to your desktop version to copy in all of your settings, all of your favorites, your food diary history, etc. Everything's going to be copied in so that you have access to it. Your username and password links that. All right, logging your meals, exercise, and water. So you can log all three of those on your app. Here's going to be your desktop or your home screen, if you will. It'll default to today. So you'll see that here. If you want to go to yesterday, click on the left-handed arrow. If you want to go to tomorrow, click on the right-handed arrow. You'll notice a summary of the day. So it's going to tell you how many calories you have remaining, what your goal was, what that looks like in terms of food, how much exercise. Again, with the exercise thing, guys, unless you're using one of those, the Fitbit or one of the apps that sync in with your iPhone, it's just estimating. So don't live or die by this number. That's why I don't even track exercise there. I don't want to think I can eat more food than I've burned, than I've actually burned. So I don't even track exercise. All right, when you're ready to add something to your food diary, you click this big blue button here. It says add a diary. On the next screen, you're going to see a list of all the meals you set up, similar to your desktop or website version. So remember what we set up before, meal 1 through 5, and then extras. This is exactly what your app's going to look like. So you'll select the meal you want to add food to, and then use the search for a food search box or one of the tabs underneath the search bar. This is what that screen looks like. It's going to be this screen, right? Your options are going to be, you can enter in the food name to search for it, or click on one of these tabs: recent, frequent, my foods, meals, and recipes. Here's what those mean. Recent, that's the foods you most recently logged. So maybe I was logging yesterday and I'm going to have the same meal today that I had yesterday with a couple of tweaks. Look in your recent tab. You've already entered it in. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Frequent, maybe there's something you always eat. Like I always drink coffee. I always use unsweetened vanilla coconut milk in my smoothies. It's in my frequent foods. I don't need to search for that entry in the database again. I already know what it is. My foods. Again, those are foods that weren't in the database that you entered yourself. I don't really use that feature too frequently, but they're there if you've entered some in. Meals. So remember when we saved meals in the desktop version? Really useful for pump and shred clients. Click on the meal tab. It's going to have your meals saved. So that's a combination of foods that you've saved as a meal. You can easily copy it into another day's diary. And then recipes. So if you've inputted a recipe, go to the recipe section and find all of those recipes that you've inputted there. You can select a serving to add to your diary. Okay, so once you find the food, you click select the food. And then here's what it's going to pop up. So I selected alfalfa sprouts. I had a cup of them. You're going to click this little arrow to add it to your food diary. All right, changing your view and accessing reports on the app. So here's your view, your home screen. This is the navigation right here. Home, diary, nutrition, progress, goals, friends, messages, apps, and devices. select which one of these you want to look at. Your diary tabs, just like the website, it's going to pull up everything. The cool thing in the app is that it's going to break it down meal by meal and calories, really easy to see here. You can add food by clicking the plus. You can edit by clicking the pencil. You can check reports by clicking the pie chart, or you can finalize your entry by checking the notebook. All right, here's your diary. So if you want to edit, you can select what you wanted to edit. You can either delete it, you can either copy it as another meal right here, or you can add it to your meals. Those are the options there. All right. Here's your report. So if you click on that pie chart down here, this is what it's going to pull up. It's going to default to your pie chart view. That's going to break down your macro totals for the day. So it's carbohydrates, protein, and fat. It's going to give you a snapshot of what your meals have looked like so far. So this is everything you've logged for the day. If you click on the little link up here for the table view, it's going to show you your total, your goal, and what you have left for the day. This is a really handy tool as well. You can also change your view. So this is the daily view, but you can view it weekly, or you can just view it for today. Progress, that's going to show you your graph, just like we looked like that on the website. You can change the inputs here to give you a different view. Goals, if you want to go in here and reset your goals, you can do it on the app, just like you can do it on the website. Another cool thing on the app is the reminder tab. So this is great, especially for new folks who need help, like remembering to eat or remembering to log food. Set a reminder. This is going to send you a push notification on your phone. So just like you would get from Facebook or any other app, it's going to send you a little push notification. You can change your notification settings in your phone setting. Sometimes they'll make a little ding. Sometimes they'll just leave a little note on your home screen. So that's a really cool tool. And that's it. So there's also a help tab where you can go and access some video tutorials and some FAQ and technical support on the app. Highly recommend you guys looking at that if you have some extra time. But again, if you want this guide, just ask your coach to send it to you. I'll also be sending this out with a copy of this webinar for you guys to view, again, in case you missed something the first time through. All right. So you guys can go ahead and unmute. Let's open it up to any questions that you might have. Who wants to?
Hey, Jess, this is Lynn.
Yes.
I don't know who. Can we hear everybody talking? I don't want to interrupt anybody.
Just hear you right now.
Okay, I always have a dilemma because I have a really crappy scale. I need to like invest in a decent one. So my scale only weighs in ounces.
Okay.
And sometimes when I go and I find a food and I think, oh, that's it, it totally gives me nothing remotely close to ounces. So I never know what to pick.
Okay. So in that case, I would suggest going to the database link. So go to food and go to database right here and entering it in here, whatever food it is you're trying to find, and check you'll find all of the matching entries for that and see if you can't find one with ounces. Or, right, let's say it's something that like give me an example of a food that you've had trouble with.
I don't know without pulling my fitness pal up. I can't think of one right offhand. I just
But let's
know
say
that
maybe
was
maybe you had like
a
2
common
ounces of
problem
avocado.
I always had. Or I would eat like 3/4 of a cup and it would only give me a quarter of a cup or a half a cup or a cup. It wouldn't give me like what I was using.
Okay, great. Here's what to do in that case. So let's say it's something and you had 3/4 of a cup. You can select and I'll show you that. Hold on. Look right here.
Yeah, I lost your screen too. Are you still on? What I do that I lost you?
I'm
can't
still
see your
on.
screen anymore.
Can anyone else see my screen?
Okay, wait. There it is. I got you back. Sorry.
Okay. There just might be a little delay. All right. So here's an entry, for example, where I didn't have a cup, right? But these are the
Right.
options that it is giving me. I had 3/4 of a cup. So I actually changed this from 1, which was the default, to 0.75. That's 3/4 of a cup.
Okay.
So you might have to do a little math just to convert that. But that's how you would do that, Lynn.
Okay.
and it's going to actually do the math for you to break it down. Now, if you're having trouble like understanding how something like, let's say, 4 ounces of beef, and you want to measure it in grams, like maybe you had the opposite problem where your scale only gave you grams, you can actually just Google search what is 4 ounces of beef in grams, and you'll find
Oh,
you'll
okay.
find
I never
something
thought
with
to do
it.
that.
I've had to do that a couple times. So that's a good thing to do. Or there's another database that I like to use. It's the Self database. And I've had luck using this one when I couldn't find something in MyFitnessPal. So you could try that as well too, Lynn. And that's
Nutrition.
nutritiondata.self.com.
Okay.
So try that one. And I would say, next time you're at like Target or something, grab a new scale, because it's great when you can toggle between the different types of measurements.
Yeah, I have a friend next door that has lost 102 pounds, and he was like, the scale made all the difference in the world.
It does. And
Quantities, yeah.
I mean, with some of my clients, I've been changing my measurements from like cups to grams or ounces because it's so much more accurate. Because I've packed a lot of things into a cup before, a measuring cup, and that's not necessarily what I should have been eating.
Right.
So it's better to really have those measurements in ounces and grams, and you can ask your coach to give you the food in those measurements as well too.
And I'm still learning. Like I was kind of Courtney's guinea pig at first, so I really have not had a chance to sit with her yet and really understand the macros. I just know, like I'm struggling really bad right now with hormonal issues, and my doctor just upped my hormone replacement and all that. So I just feel like I should be eating less, and then she's like, no, you should stay on the 1,400 calories a day, because if you get hungry then you're going to binge. But I changed my calorie intake on MyFitnessPal, which changes all your macros, and then it was like I don't understand the macros, I guess.
Okay, so remember what we did here when we went to goals, and then we said
Right, and you're
change
setting your
goals.
carbs and fats and
Yeah.
all that.
So go
How
to
do you know what you're
custom.
supposed to do?
Yeah. So go to custom, and then you can specify it, right? So you can change all of these, and it'll tell you what you need to get. Because MyFitnessPal defaults to 50% carbs. We're never going to recommend that people eat 50% carbs.
Okay.
So
is the percentages that you have there a pretty good base to go by?
well, this is my plan, my personal plan.
Right.
So this is what you'd enter in, what your coach told you to use.
Gotcha.
Yep. And if you want, I mean, you should talk to Courtney about a maintenance plan, and she could kind of reevaluate where you're at.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah.
She's just been busy, and I've been busy, and we haven't done
Or
it, so.
if you want to work with any of the coaches, would be available.
Well, since she's my daughter, I kind of feel
I know. I know. But we're all here for you, so.
Absolutely.
All right. Other questions?
It's Mona. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just going to see if you'd clarify a little bit with like entering meat, because I've had this question a few times. Is it making sure that what you're entering is like how you've cooked it? So I've had some people enter meats where they've just entered, I guess it maybe is what they feel would be like a raw in MyFitnessPal, instead of if they're cooking it like grilled or baked or whatever that may be, and that affects the macronutrients too with the weight.
Yes. So your coach should specify the weight of the food, whether it's cooked or not. So like for my clients, for example, I always say like grilled chicken or grilled or baked chicken, because typically that doesn't add any fat to it. And then the weight, that means the weight after cooking. So those are the entries you want to look for. If you specify 5 ounces of chicken breast, you're right, they could search for raw or cooked. I would say by default, if there's no cooking instructions in the meal plan, then it would be raw that you should be looking for. But it does change the macronutrients, because your meats, especially chicken, they lose a lot of volume in water when you cook them, like when you grill them or you bake them. Now, if you're baking them in some type of liquid, they could actually gain volume. So it's not going to matter in the long run. I mean, it's so nitpicky, but I try to be as specific as possible with my clients. So if you have a question, ask your coach. Did you mean for this weight to be cooked or uncooked? That's what I'd ask.
Thank you.
Other questions?
When you change your goals, it automatically updates your journal, right?
Yes. It
Okay.
automatically updates this down here.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. This is the meal plan. The making a meal was awesome. It's like, man, that's a time saver.
Yes, I know. Those shortcuts are great. Yep, these up here, really cool. Anyone else? You guys are quiet. All right. Well, I have this all recorded, so I'll send it to everyone who attended. Feel free to watch it again. Email me if you have questions. You can email info@pumpandshredlife.com. I get that email. I can also copy in your coach on it too. Feel free to ask your coach questions. Even if you've long since graduated, we're still your coaches. We're here to help you guys. So we want to make sure you can utilize this tool. It's really awesome if you kind of get all the shortcuts down. It can be really cumbersome if you don't. So hopefully this helped you guys. Thank you so much for attending. Hope
Thanks for
everything's
your time.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you
It
so
was
much,
great.
guys. All right, I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.
All right. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.